And so Lincoln, being a man who was standing on principle, standing on the word, standing on truth, standing on his belief system, and what he felt the need to express, to proclaim, said, I am not the author of this. I am not the author of this proclamation. A house divided cannot stand. God is. And then he said, so go complain to him, for it's his word, it's his utterance. I'm not the author of this. You want to complain? Complain to him, because he stood on what he believed. He stood on what the word said, and then he stood on that word by faith, and by faith he proceeded, even when it cost. How many of you are willing to stand in this political city, in this nation's capital? How many of y'all are willing to stand on what you believe, not just what you say, but what you believe? It's something about individuals that don't do a lot of talking. When I say don't do a lot of talking, I can go back to my days of elementary, high school, so forth and so on. You would have people that would just continue to talk about what they're going to do, after school, blah, 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 we're going to do this, okay, yeah. But then you had the silent ones. I didn't say it worked out in the silent ones' favor all the time, but I have seen where the silent ones who weren't doing a lot of the barking believed so much into what they were going to do that they did not utter anything. And so after school, you drop your books, you drop your book bags, you throw hands. And I've seen where the silent one who wasn't proclaiming all of this on what's going to take place, what's going to happen, ended up, of course, being the last one standing. They believed in something enough they did not have to speak on it. You know the term, actions speak louder than words. And I'm not saying that words aren't powerful. You have individuals who are very vocal with what they believe, and then they follow through with action. Thank God for that. But I'm simply talking about, it's something about those who may not speak a lot on what they believe, but they act a lot and act on what they believe, even when it costs them something dear. What is that particular thing that is so dear to you that if you were faced with the option to go forward with that to which you believe, or to regress, to cancel, to avoid that to which you believe? What is that thing that's dear to you? Some people, it may be, of course, overall life. All of us, for the most part, want to live, right? We were created to live. We weren't created to die. I can go all the way back to the Garden of Eden, but we're not going to go into that right now. We were all created to live. So I know that's probably the main one, right? But let's be real. Some of us, there are other things that we hold so dear that if we were faced with the option to go forward in our beliefs, even though it may have cost that particular thing that is so dear to us, what would that be? You fill in that particular space. Some, it may be a loved one, it may be a husband or wife. You would not want to lose your husband or your wife, your children, it may be your children. All these are legitimate reasons. All these are legitimate things, entities, persons that we hold dear. Some of you all may not want to lose your freedom. You hold your freedom dear. I understand, I do as well. Most of us, if not all of us. Jobs, wealth, influence, we hold those things dear. But how many? Oh my God, how many would us be willing to stand in spite of losing those particular things that were dear to us because we stood on our beliefs? I'll pose the question to your ears again. What if your beliefs cost you something dear? Would you believe it then? Would you turn the switch off and switch to the belief of the majority? Would you stand firm? Because if it's truly what you believe in, you can't turn that switch off. You may just acquiesce, blend in, but it will kill you when you're compromising instead of standing on your conviction. I heard a wise man say that it is better for one to be an unbelieving individual and compromise than to be a believer and a believing individual and compromise. I hope you all caught that. For once has it been spoken, twice told that it may be heard. That individual said it is better for an unbelieving individual, an unbeliever, to compromise than for one who is a believing individual, a believer, and compromises. How can you sleep if it's deeply rooted in you. I speak for myself, and I'm sure many of you all in this audience can speak for yourselves as well. When you literally compromise that which you were convicted of, there was a conviction that you compromised, and there was such an unrest. My God, there was such a lack of peace because you went against something that was so deeply rooted in your spirit, planted in your spirit, in your soul, that it was a part of you. You were it. It was you. And that's why you had these great individuals, the Lincolns, the Martin Luther Kings, that stood on what they believed so much, because if they detached themselves from it, it would have taken them out anyway. It would have caused such an unrest in their souls and their spirits, because they knew that they were here for such a time as that. They knew that their purpose was here for such a time as that, to stand for that to which they believed. When you know what your purpose is, ladies and gentlemen, when you know why you are here, what your calling is, as I gave this message out west a couple weeks ago. When you know what your calling is, and you know what you believe in, it's hard to sway you from it. I didn't say you couldn't be swayed. I said it is extremely hard to knock a person off that particular thing that they believe in, that particular calling that they have. Because if you knock them off and they go in a different direction, it's a slow declining death. Oh, but when you stand on what you believe, you stand on your beliefs in spite of the cost, in spite of the things that you hold dear, that you could lose, you'll be the one that will be spoken of for years to come. And it's not about doing things so you can be remembered. No. Please understand that. It's about doing things that you know that you were convicted of, whether people paraded you around or not, because you stand in front of a God that has put you on this earth for such a time as that. But many of us have aborted the things that we believe out of fear, out of what the majority deems and directs us and tries to coerce us to believe. Many of us are fragile. We whimper away because we are afraid. Fear is a necessary emotion. Oh, but if there's no fear, then there's no courage. If there's no fear, there's no boldness. A young boy who was dealing with a bully at school in elementary, was just being bullied by this elementary day in and day out. And so the boy's mother sat him down and said, okay, now you have to understand that this can't continue. Do you believe that he should not be treating you like this? Do you believe in this? Do you believe in this? Do you believe in this? And of course, the little kid, the child said, no, I don't believe he should be doing this. What do you believe in then? The mother asked. I believe that he should treat me nicely. I believe that he should not, pick on me. He shouldn't beat me up. He shouldn't, take my lunch. He shouldn't harass me. I believe that we can be friends. I believe he should want to be my friend because I'm a nice guy. I want to be his friend. Believe. And so the mother said, okay, so do something about it. You say you believe that he should not treat you in this manner. Well, there are a few things you can do, okay? You can express such a love for this bully. You can actually, if this bully comes at you and this bully is being mean to you again, then you can actually say, you know what, here's a gift for you. Or, can I carry that for you? And I know that sounds crazy because where I come from, you didn't do those types of things. And I'm sure you all here in the DC district, some of you all know that as well. But my whole point is, what are you going to do? Because you stand on that to what you believe, even if it costs you something dear. This boy believed that this wasn't right. And so the mother simply was advising him to do something about it. It's amazing when you can opposite of that to which you are receiving. If someone is mean and belligerent towards you, but yet you are nice and polite and loving towards them, it doesn't work all the time, but over time, it starts to impact that person because you are not going to succumb and become what they have become to you because you believe that that particular retaliation is not necessary. You believe in that, though it may still cost you great beatdowns, great losses. So this boy decided, you know what? I believe that, he shouldn't be treating people like this. I believe that, we can actually, become friends possibly. So let me start doing things that hopefully will change not only his way of interacting with me in these violent, aggressive, physical, assaulting manners. Let me do something that I know is what I stand on. I stand on peace, and I stand on a nonviolent approach. You see where this is going, huh? Because you believe in that. The late Dr. Martin Luther King, no matter how many may agree with his nonviolent approach or not, many believed, many didn't believe. Didn't believe. He stood on that nonviolent approach. It was the Bible way, the biblical way. Now, there were wars that were fought, many wars, battles in the Bible, but he stood on what he believed in, because if we crossed over to the Nation of Islam, you had Malcolm X, and they believed in another philosophy. They believed in another way, by any means necessary. They stood on that. They believed in that. Remember, believing is accepting something as truth. You accept something as truth, then you stand on it. And let's be real, we can stand on things that are not right, but we still believe in them enough to stand on them. I'm not advocating this, but you've had terrorists throughout history that believed in, the suicidal missions, so much so that, they would literally commit atrocities, not only to others, but even themselves, because of what they believed in. I didn't say it was right, but it was something they believed in. A house divided against itself cannot stand. And half the battle is believing. The other half you all can fill in. But half the battle is what we think, is what we're willing to do, what we're not willing to do. Is what we have a conviction for, what we have a moral compass for, what we have an ambition for. Half the battle is believing. Half the battle is believing you can do X, Y, Z, or you will not do X, Y, Z. Half the battle, half the battle. Half the battle is having faith. Just like the other half of that is having doubt. Half the battle is believing. Believing in what? That's for you to determine. But I hope that that believing process is always something greater than you. Always something greater than you. Because when you're doing something greater than yourself, you're able to move mountains in ways you never thought possible, because it's greater than you. Great is thy faith, therefore great is thy reward. Even if that faith, that belief, that believing will cost you, can cost you. Half the battle is believing. Many of you will stand firm, whether it's political stances, whether it's moral stances, whether it's educational stances that you will stand on and will not waver to the right or waver to the left. Many of you will stand in your communities as you see certain things, certain atrocities, certain ways that your community is not being catered to, maybe a lack of resources and so forth. So based on your belief and your believing, you will be willing to lose much in order to gain much for the greater good of that to which you believe. I told you all I was both somber in spirit as well as elated. My spirit. Somber because of what I still see, not just outside of me, but inside of me. With my believing, my beliefs, the things I say I will stand on, and I find myself compromising on. The things you said that you believed in and would stand on, and find yourselves compromising on, or have compromised on. Many of you are big on education. Georgetown University is maybe about 20-30 minutes from where we are currently located here in DC. Many of you believe in education in such a way that even if it costs you something dear to attain it, ridicule, okay? If it costs you something dear to attain it, embarrassment, okay? You will continue to believe in that particular thing until what? You say, Kai? Until you see the change that you need to see. Until you have accomplished that to which you have set out to accomplish. Even if you may not totally see it in your lifetime. Many of the greats did not see the repercussions of those things that they believed that cost them something there. Many of them did not see. the very thing overall that they believed in. But they started it. They stood on it. So what are you standing on? What are you standing apart from? A house divided cannot stand. A mind divided cannot stand. A belief system divided cannot stand. Every last one of us that proclaims something that we believe will be tested, whether true or false, right or wrong. You have a lot of radicals here in this country alone that believe in what they stand on, so much so they're willing to pay the cost. They're willing to suffer for that. What are we willing to stand on based on our beliefs? Because again, a belief system just has a heart that loves. Cannot turn a switch off. It cannot turn a switch off. The late, great Martin Luther King said that I would rather love than hate because hating is too hard. It's too weighty to hate, the darkness, the bitterness. Oh, but to love. Love is lighter. I didn't say love doesn't come with a cost. You know, this Lord that died for us loved us so much, it was weighty. When he stood and sat there in the Garden of Gethsemane, the word says he sweated as if drops of blood. Weighty. But what I'm saying is when you determine that you're going to live in love instead of in hate, oh my goodness, it's so much lighter. Brighter. Yet still costly. So lastly, again, as I get ready to depart from this platform I've been provided, what if your beliefs cost you something dear? Are you able to stand still on those beliefs, as the greats have in the past, to which we still speak of? Would you believe that belief then? Would you still believe? Would you still be spoken of because of your boldness, your courage, your veracity to stand, to believe in spite of going against the flow? There is an iconic scene in the old Hollywood blockbuster movie Troy, which I actually have in my DVD collection. Yes, I still have DVDs. I don't watch them. I haven't watched the DVD in a long time. I'd have to find my DVD player. But my whole point is I really enjoyed this movie, Troy, which was played, of course, by Brad Pitt, who played Achilles, the mighty warrior, the hero. And I want you to hear me because if you don't stand for something, you'll fall for anything. And for this reason, that's why those that stood on what they believed, even when it cost them, Abraham Lincoln, Martin Luther King, so forth and so on, this is why we still speak of them. But this particular scene, which is one of my favorite scenes in the whole movie, again, Achilles, who's played by Brad Pitt, he's awakened from his bed to fight the champion of the opposing army, who's a massive warrior, massive size warrior. I mean, this dude is like a giant, and he's like looked like 7'2", 400 pounds, just massive. And so the young messenger boy who comes to awaken Achilles from his tent, he says, the enemy, the Thessalonian, I believe, you are fighting. He's the biggest man I've ever seen. Put that in the mind of what you believe and the thing that you doubt. But he's the biggest man that I've ever seen. Ooh, I wouldn't want to fight him. That's what the messenger boy says, and that's what most of us would say. Let's be real. Whether we said it or not, we would believe that in our minds. I wouldn't want to fight him. He's massive. This project that you're desiring to do is massive, but yet you believe in it enough to take it head on. Think on that. So again, the messenger boy says, I would not want to fight him. I've never seen such opposition. And then Achilles responds as he's mounting his horse. And he didn't even say it. Remember, this was just a little boy, little messenger boy. Achilles, a grown man, warrior, fighter. He says in a stoic way, not even like patting the boy on the head. Oh, my little messenger boy. Nothing. He looks at him straight face. I don't even know if he was looking at him. He was looking ahead, getting ready to head to the battle. But he looks at this messenger boy, and Achilles says, after the boy responds again, and after the boy says again, that he's big, I would not want to fight him. Achilles then responds with, and that's why no one will ever remember your name. Whew. That's why no one will ever remember your name. Because you chose not to go against the flow. You chose to go with the mindset that was popular. Oh, he can't do this. Oh, she can't do this. I wouldn't take that on, ma'am. I wouldn't take that on, sir. Have you seen the size of this? And most of us succumbed to that. We thought we believed in it, just to recognize evidently we did not believe in that particular thing because we knew that it would cost us something dear. So when you're fighting those giants and everyone around you is telling you, what are you doing, man? What are you doing, woman? What are you doing, sir? What are you doing, young lady? What are you doing? You're from this community. You don't have the resources for that. What are you doing? But you have a fight in you because that fight is to which you believe. You will be remembered. And those who stand outside the arena instead of inside the arena will not be remembered. Let me say that again, for once has been spoken, twice told, that it may be heard. In closing, that's why no one will remember your name. Because you don't stand on that very thing that you believe when everyone else doesn't. It's not up to everyone else to believe in you. You have to believe in you. So going back again to that particular scene in the movie, the little messenger boy is sent to dispatch a message to Achilles, and you would have thought maybe the boy would, even though he's big, this is still Achilles. He's been proven. Many of you have been proven in this audience. Many of you have been proven that are listening right now to the words that I speak, to the words that I utter. Many of you right now. You've been proven, but yet you still have doubters. That's what the enemy does. He comes and he keeps planting these seeds of doubt, even though God has already, elevated us through various levels that no one else was willing to endure, but yet you will still have doubters. You built a business, you built a company, you got your degrees, and now you're getting another degree. You actually revamped your community. You partnered with other entities that no one else had the belief that they could partner with, but yet here it is, you have another battle, and now you have the doubters again. You would think someone would say, okay, you know what, Achilles, he's big, but man, your pedigree is fierce. Your pedigree is proven. Go get him. Go get him, Achilles. I've seen you slaughter 200, 300, 400 men in battle. I've heard of the stories. Go get him. That wasn't the case. This little messenger boy who was sent as one of the henchmen, remember I said that in the beginning of my message, to deter, to test that to which you believe, can also strengthen that which you believe when tested to what you said you believed. After all, I said that in the very beginning. And so Achilles was tested again with a messenger of doubt, with a messenger that did not believe, but yet Achilles still believed. You all out in the audience and you all listening to this message, you yourselves have to prove yourselves to that which you believe. For once has it been spoken, twice told, that it may be heard. For half the battle is believing. In a house divided, a mindset divided, a belief divided cannot stand. I thank you all for allowing me to invade your space, and I apologize that I was not in my most energetic mode, but this was such a weighty message as I've been here in DC and as I've had the privilege again to speaking unto thine ears. I thank you all, and I hope and pray that this message has caught each and every last one of you in the place that it needs to catch you. whether you're already on the incline, whether you were on the decline, whether you were in the middle, whether you were thumbs up, whether you were thumbs down, whether you were a thumb that was sideways, which was in the middle. I pray that this message has captured you in some way, shape, form, or another, not for my purpose, but for your greatness and for the purpose that you've been placed here, for the purposes that I've been placed here to fulfill and to stand on. What if your beliefs cost you something dear? Would you believe in it then? Would you still believe? Thank you all again for allowing me to invade your space.
Not all who wander are lost.